Hello everybody, this is CJ Wiley with more adventures on the road. Today I'm going to take you on a little hike and I'm going down into the middle of nowhere. Got a little squirrel here. Hey baby, what you doing? But I'm going to tell you today, and I have mentioned in the past that I made some fundamental changes when I first became a professional player in Toronto, Canada. Even though I got fourth in the tournament and I had wins over Efren, Reyes and Earl, Strickland, Jimmy Rimpey, Mike LeBron, and Chris Wood, who was the best player at the time from Canada, or certainly one of them. And even after that tournament, I could tell that these guys did things that were superior to me. Now, my forte was always playing long matches, and if I could just play for 2 or 3 hours, something would click and I could hit a super high level and maintain it for a long time. But that doesn't work in professional tournaments because you don't have time. If you wait 2 or 3 hours, you'll be on your way home by the time you get in stroke. So you have to immediately be in stroke and be able to maintain that, because playing guys like Efren Reyes and Johnny Archer and Buddy Hall and the list goes on, Shane Van Boning, you can win against those type players, but you have to put a lot of pressure on them, especially at the beginning of a match. And you'll notice that there's swings in momentum in every match. I mean, some of them go back and forth, of course, but for the most part, there'll be cycles. And I've been around it enough that I can tell when a player has his chance to win the match. He may be 2 games down, but his chance, just about every time I've ever played, I've had the opportunity to win matches. And if I hadn't have made mistakes, or if I hadn't have scratched on that one break, or whatever the case may be, I could have won it. So only on a few occasions have I not had any chance. Like, I have had somebody run a set out on me in 2 innings, but that, as far as I can remember, that's only happened once. And it was just a rare occasion where they're racking their own balls, they're making a corner ball every time and all that stuff. Racking your own balls, in my opinion, is like Barry Bonds pitching to himself. How many home runs could he have hit if he was throwing the ball exactly where he wanted every time? So we used to play loser racks. So the understanding with all the pro players is we wanted to stop that corner ball from going. And we'd even go in, some of them would anyway. I really didn't do this, but I was okay with it. But some of the top players, Earl, would go in and tap the balls down so that they'd rack really tight, but you couldn't make the corner ball. So, or a lot less. I'm not saying you couldn't at all. However, it made the game more challenging. Because, less balls on the table, there's more balls to run. Plus, those cycles were a little closer because somebody couldn't just break and run out playing winter breaks 5 or 6 racks in a row and take you out of competition. So, anyway, I'll explain more about all those things in detail when I can. But I'm getting to an area now that I want you to see. And then I'm going to tell you how I was able to learn what I needed that actually changed my life and my game exceptionally. Hello, how you doing? Hello, how you doing? There is civilization down here, all the way from Japan. Nice. All right, so I'm getting into an area that I heard was one of the best in this part of the country as far as waterfalls and settings. You can hear it starting to get more rapid. Pretty strong, huh? It gets better. So anyway, what happened was Roger Griffiths, who's a really good friend of mine, and he actually turned me on to several things that were life-changing. Now, if I didn't do it and take an aggressive action it never would have happened. So he was just steering me. That's what you got to understand. I tell people as well that I'm just a messenger. You know, what you do with this information is completely up to you. I've used it in business and generated over $50 million. That's not my goal. When I had the most money, I actually was less happy. So, hello, how y'all doing? There's a cute dog. Hi there, how are you? We smell. It's beautiful. Wow, another country. It's cool being around people from different countries out here in the wilderness. You know, we're all the same out here. No technology except for this one. I'm violating it a little bit, but I want to, you know, I know there's friends of mine that don't have a chance to see these type of things, and I want to not only share my knowledge and experience that I've gained, but also, you know, some of these places, so you can, you know, vicariously enjoy it through me, and I think you'll like this. How strong is that? Nice little swimming area. I just like to get up every morning, have some coffee, and go take a little swim in there. But this goes all the way down. I'm on an incredibly high, incredibly high mountain. When I was driving up here, I had like severe drop-offs to my right. I caught myself driving with my leg and multitasking, and like 5 feet away was certain death off a cliff. So, you know, I respect heights. And if I pay too much attention to them, I start imagining falling off and jumping off. And so that's not a good feeling. So, again, I have a healthy respect for heights. So what happened in Canada was Roger came up to me and he said, listen, there's a guy here that's the coach of Cliff Thorburn, who has 28 perfect games playing snooker. That's a 147, which is incredibly hard to do. And if you don't know anything about snooker, there's 15 red balls. So you'd have to make a red ball, then the highest number, which is the black ball, the 7, then a red, then the 7, then the red, then the 7, all the way up to 15 of them, and then shoot them in order, the 2 through the 7, and that's a 147. So somebody that's had either 27 or 28, but that's just unfathomable for me. So I knew he knew a lot about fundamentals, this guy's coach. So here's the issue. When I went up to and first saw this man, he was teaching Roger. And he's a real serious man, you know, and I understand more now because I teach a lot. And I value my, you know, my students' time, and they're paying for it. So I don't like to be disturbed. And I just didn't realize that. You know, I was just kind of putting on the happy-go-lucky CJ the Fast Gun from Dallas, Texas act, which is not really an act. You know, I enjoy, you know, having fun with people. And but I'm also got a serious side, too, that I probably am in more than ever, especially by myself or when I'm in competition. So when I first saw them, I went up and said, hey, Roger, how you doing? And went right up to the table. And this guy looked at me like I could tell he didn't like that at all. And I really didn't understand why. And Roger said, hey, CJ, we're taking a lesson here. I am, and this guy's teaching me. Give me a second, and we'll talk. And that was fine. You know, I just quickly retreated and went over and still was kind of watching a little bit from the other side of the room. This was in the practice room. So, and I could tell the guy was serious, and I could tell Roger, you know, was giving him his undivided attention, which led me to immediately believe that that the guy was very, very good at what he did. So, here, we'll just sit here for a second. So anyway, so afterwards, Roger told me, he said, man, you really need to get a lesson from this guy. He absolutely knows what he's talking about, especially the stance and a kind of a trick that he has to allow you to shoot out of the center of your chest visually, like the center of your vision. No dominant eye, just like you'd look at everything else, just like I'm looking at you right now, just absolutely straight on. That's the best way you can see something in life or connect to something in life, okay? So if you're talking to somebody, you want to face them, you feel a bond. You turn away from them, the bond is broken. So there's a rapport thing there. And you need to give each shot in pool your undivided attention as well if you're going to play, to the top of your ability level. So I had a problem. This guy hated me. First impressions are hard to break. My first impression with this guy was kind of like a smart aleck, and I knew that. I was well aware of the impressions that I have on people. So I went up to my hotel room that night, and I was already studying neurolinguistic programming, and there was a systematic way to get rapport that they taught. So I refreshed my memory on that, and here is the system. You first have to match someone, then you can pace someone, and then and only then can you lead someone. But the matching part is, just for example, like how fast they move their bodies when they talk, their hands when they talk, how fast they talk, the tonality of how they talk, facial expressions. There's something called mirroring, where you kind of mirror how someone is making their facial expressions. It's a good idea to do that subtly, or somebody will recognize it. I don't do any of these things unless there's an absolute objective that I have, which is few and far between. I did it in business a few times that paid off handsomely, and it was with bankers and people like that. So, everything's fair in their world. So you match, pace, and lead. So the next day, when I went down there, I knew that the man spoke a lot slower than I did. And he's really serious. And body motions also slower, more precise. So when I saw this man, I went up to him with the utmost respect, and it was sincere. There again, you can't fool anybody with this stuff. It's just that sometimes when we don't know it, we might have the best intentions and still break rapport. So it's nice to at least know why that happens, so you can get along better with people in life, if you want to. There are people that I mismatch intentionally because I don't want them to like me for some reason, or I don't want rapport with them for some reason. Usually it's because, I don't feel like they're honest, or I feel like they're maybe going to try to get over on me, or they're talking behind my back or whatever. So I'll just mismatch them and basically blot them out of my life. But it'll be their idea, not mine. Best way to get somebody to do something is create the idea in their mind, let them come up with it, and then they'll freely do it. So that's where you have to know about this, some of these techniques. I told you about the ones yesterday about mind control. So if you haven't seen that video, you can see it on my Facebook. I can't put it on YouTube because I did it live on Facebook and can't download it. Maybe I can figure out a way, but right now I don't know. So I went down and saw this man. I went up, utmost respect, slowed down everything. And I said, "Excuse me, sir. I really want to sincerely apologize for interrupting, your lesson yesterday. And I just feel like I need to say that." And he looked at me, studying me. And when he could tell I was sincere, he said, "That's okay." He said, I know you didn't do it on purpose. And I really appreciate you apologizing. And I said, "Well, thank you as well, because I want to ask you something." And he said, "What is that?" I said, "Would you be willing to work with me and showing me what you showed Roger?" And he said, yeah, I'll do that." So I made an appointment with him and went in, and within about 2 hours, he showed me something that really lit a light bulb off in my head. It was what I was missing. See, I knew I was missing something. So anyway, I'm about out of time. I made the changes and ended up at the bar with him after this was all over. and actually partying with him, having a good time, and basically that was the leading. I led him into a more carefree, good-natured behavior, at least for that weekend. Sorry I'm out of time. I will take this up later and get into more detail on how all this works and how you can use it to enhance your life, your pool game, and your interactions with other people. Till then, this is CJ, over and out.